If you're a Harry Potter fan, you're most likely familiar with the menacing creatures called Dementors. From their slimy, decaying bodies to their gaping, soul-sucking mouths, Dementors are truly one of the most fearsome creatures in the Harry Potter universe. Unlike much of her magical inspiration, Dementors are not derived from any folktale or myth. Their true origin just might surprise you. Further, you'll realize that these fun fantasies from childhood are more than mere stories. They're anecdotes to greater complications and struggles. I'm your Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Anthony Grybinas, and welcome to Behind the Narrative. Before penning the series that brought her billions, JK Rowling suffered from clinical depression. After separating from her husband and becoming a single mom in 1993, she hit her lowest point. When writing Harry's adventures, she set out to describe her depression to those who had never experienced it. Dementors are among the foulest creatures that walk this earth. They infest the darkest, filthiest places. They glory in despair. They drain peace, hope, and happiness out of the air around them. Get too near a Dementor, and every good feeling, every happy memory will be sucked out of you. If it can, the Dementor will feed on you long enough to reduce you to something like itself, soulless and evil. You're then left with nothing but the worst experiences of your life. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. According to Pottermore, the word Dementor comes from the words demented and tormentor. Like Rowling and others who suffer from depression, Dementors seem to leave you in a cycle of recurring, hopeless thoughts. If left unchecked, it can cause people to become soulless husks of their former selves. Harry, who has suffered more tragedy than most of his classmates combined, is affected the most when the first Dementor appears. He passes out in response. This could be Rowling's way of portraying the lethargy and fatigue that comes with depression. When not immediately near Dementor, Harry lies awake at night in fear of them. When confronted with Dementors, the inmates of Azkaban become apathetic and hopeless, just like those suffering from depression. Fortunately, through her stories, JK Rowling provides several ways to defend yourself against the Dementors in your life. Just remember your chocolate frog.
Watch it!
Chocolate can increase your endorphins, creating a happy feeling. But this is only a temporary solution. Eating healthy food and getting regular exercise increases long-term happiness. So, hit the Quidditch pitch or whatever sport you prefer. Eating food high in omega fatty acids like salmon can also boost your mood. Don't forget to include food high in B vitamins like citrus fruit, leafy greens, beans, chicken, and eggs. When the Dementors swarm in, having a strong, supportive group of friends and family can pull you out of your spiral. Keeping up with social activity, even when one doesn't feel up to it, leaves less time to retreat into our shells. Quality time, face-to-face with friends, has been proven to boost mood. Also, don't forget your furry, scaly, or feathered friends. Whether it's a Crookshanks or a Buckbeak, a Trevor or a Hedwig, or even a Godfather who could turn into a dog, your animal friends count too. The spell that keeps the Dementors at bay translates to, I await a protector.
Don't worry, my dad will come. He'll conjure the Patronus.
In reality, you don't need to wait, because you are your own protector and can conjure up the anecdote. It just takes some practice. Some happy thoughts might not be strong enough to combat the Dementors in your life. Even Harry didn't defeat his Dementors the first time. Eventually, he was able to find a memory strong enough to turn a light on in the darkness. Focusing on good thoughts and being grateful for what you have is the #1 way to combat depression. Lastly, Harry was unable to defeat the Dementors alone. Along with the help of his friends, he asked Professor Lupin for professional help. If nothing you do seems to work, seek out help. JK Rowling once said, "What's there to be ashamed of? I went through a really rough time, and I'm quite proud of the fact that I got out of that." So, if you ever feel Dementors lurking in the shadows, remember your chocolate frog. food and exercise, relationships, optimism, and get help. We often dismiss fantasy stories from our childhood with the belief that they're outdated, simple, and irrelevant. The reality is that many of these stories have valuable life lessons that aren't meant to be left in our past. Behind the seemingly trivial characters and events in this story, the author conveyed a heartfelt, powerful, and personal message about life and the struggle of overcoming great darkness. I'll leave you off with the wise words of our former headmaster, Albus Dumbledore.
Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light.
I've been your humble defense against the dark arts teacher, Anthony Grybinas, and thank you for watching this episode of Behind the Narrative.